Look, in 2008, 2010, and 2014, the American people voted to change things, and nothing has changed, so they're angry about it. And that anger should serve to motivate us to actually start doing something in this country. But we can't allow anger to define us. It should motivate us to taking these issues seriously, but it should not define the Republican Party or our nation. This is not an angry country. This is by nature an optimistic country of people that are always looking forward to the future. I understand why people are upset. You know, I myself was elected in 2010 at a time of great frustration, and I've sat in the Senate for 4.5 years and watched nothing happen. It's deeply frustrating. It's one of the reasons why I'm leaving the Senate and running for president. But I got to tell you, we can't let anger define us, because anger doesn't solve problems. Look, at the turn of the 19th century, a generation of Americans harnessed the power of the industrial age, and they transformed this country into the leading economy in the world. And the 20th century became the American century. Well, now the time has come for our generation to lead the way towards a new American century. I'm sure voters are going to begin to focus in and say, now's the time to make a decision. You've seen this happen every time. It's going to happen again. And that's what all of this cumulative effect of all these months of seriously talking about these important issues is going to begin to take hold. I believe the greatest era in American history is within our reach. And you should too. There is no reason why the 21st century can't be better than the 20th century. My parents achieved what came to be known as the American dream. The problem is now too many Americans are starting to doubt whether achieving that dream is still possible. Hard-working families that are living paycheck to paycheck, one unexpected expense away from disaster. Young Americans, unable to start a career or a business or a family because they owe thousands of dollars in student loans for degrees that did not even lead to jobs. And small business owners who are left to struggle under the weight of more taxes, more regulation, and more government. Why is this happening in a country that for over 2 centuries has been defined by equality of opportunity? It's because while our people and our economy are pushing the boundaries of the 21st century, too many of our leaders and their ideas are stuck in the 20th century. That is, the political class is completely out of touch with this country. The disconnect between Washington, D.C., both political parties, and our people has never been broader. This election isn't about me or any of the other candidates. It's about the country, about the future of America. We're running out of time to turn this country around. And that's what this election should be about. And I'm trying to spend every second and every opportunity talking about that. That's what our people deserve. That's why they're frustrated with politics, because no one is focusing on that here in Washington. You, but the press in general operates on conflict. I'm not running against anybody. I'm running for president. I just don't think this country can afford another 4 years like the last 8 years. And this government is making it worse for them, not better for them. There's this feeling that the only people that win are the people that are connected to government, who can hire a lobbyist and influence the direction of it. And for the first time in 35 years, you have more businesses dying than starting. And nothing is happening. And they've been hearing promises from both political parties for the better part of a decade. And people are upset, and they're thinking now's the time to shake things up. And I agree with them. But it's not enough to just be upset. You also need to elect someone that knows what to do if given the chance to govern. So you need to have someone with a sense of urgency, which is the reason why I ran for the Senate 4 years ago. It's the reason why I'm not running for re-election to the Senate and running for president. You know, that's one of the things that people don't realize. In November of next year, I'll either be the President of the United States or a private citizen again, because I have a sense of urgency. We need to deal with these issues now, but I also have concrete, specific ideas about what I would do to help turn this country around. And so I hope that we can convince enough people that we're the right person and give us a chance and the enormous opportunity to represent and serve this country in its highest office. The one thing I know for sure is the breakdown in society is a major contributor to the lack of educational achievement. No matter how much you pay teachers or how much you reform the curriculum, but no matter how much money the government spends, it will never be able to take the place of parents and strong families. Children born into broken families with no access to positive role models, and bombarded by a popular culture that glamorizes violence and irresponsibility, these children are going to struggle to succeed no matter how much government spends. And this is a serious problem. Millions of our people are going to be left behind if we do not fix this. So what can government do about it? Well, look, the primary job of having strong families is on us as individuals, is on us as fathers and mothers, husbands and wives, members of a community, volunteers in our church. That's where the real difference happens in America on a daily basis. That's the greatest contribution any of us can ever make. But we have to have a government that's pro-family in its policies. Government can tell you what's legal. It cannot always tell you what's right. Right and wrong, good and bad, that is learned from your values instilled in you in the family, the most important institution in society. The truth is that what happens in our house, in your house, what happens in my house, is more often than not just as important for the future of our country, if not more so, than what happens in the White House. But too often, especially in recent years, Washington has tried to compete with the family rather than support it. In fact, it's tried to redefine the family. It's persecuted and now even prosecuted those who do not agree with the new direction that those seek to take us. There is no replacement for the family. It is the original government. It is the most important school you will ever attend. It is in the family and the community that supports the family, where the values that lead to strong people are instilled and reinforced. You can't have a strong country without strong people. And you can't have a strong people without strong values. And no one is born with these values. These values have to be taught. And the government can't teach them. These values have to be taught by strong families, and they have to be reinforced by institutions like churches and synagogues, coaches and mentors, by civil society. But we have countless children in this country today that are not being taught these values. Because our society is breaking down, and our families are falling apart. And as a result, our country is paying a terrible, terrible price. Because our leaders have to stop ignoring the impact that culture is having on our nation. Let me tell you the reaction I get to that from some. Some say that this is nothing more than an effort to impose mine or your or anybody's religious values on others. This is not about imposing values, because these values don't work unless you really believe them. Today we see a rising tide of intolerance in America. Intolerance towards those who cherish these values. In this country, we still have millions of people who try to live by these values. The traditional values they cherish: hard work, responsibility, self-control, the belief that life does not revolve around us. Who's harmed by these values? How does promoting these values hurt anyone? The millions of Americans who share these values are tired of being constantly told that they need to keep their opinions to themselves. On issue after issue, they are expected to be tolerant of others, but increasingly, our culture is intolerant of them. This is not about imposing our religion on anyone. In America, you have the right to worship any way you choose. That's why virtually every faith and every denomination on earth has a presence in our land. You have a right to not believe in God at all. I respect the rights of those who do not share my beliefs. But to teach my faith to my children and to share it with anyone who will listen, that is my right too. Every single one of us has to be taught these things. They have to be instilled and they have to be reinforced until it's our turn to do the same for our children. In this country of ours, we have the right to our own beliefs and the responsibility to respect the differing views of others. But if we want to save our country, we must all realize that the breakdown of our culture is trapping millions of people in a cycle of poverty and dependence, and together we have to do something about it. And I've also been lectured, as many of you have, about how we need to stop talking about social issues if we want to win elections. But if we're serious about saving the American dream, we can't stop talking about these issues. We can't
can't stop talking about the importance of our values and our culture. We can't stop talking about them because the moral well-being of our people is directly linked to their economic well-being.
I think we have to ask ourselves, what has happened in this country where something like life and the values that create a strong society have been undermined? And the answer is, you see a breakdown in family, you see a hostility towards the institutions in society that reinforce these values, and you see that reflected in crime statistics, in the jail population, and in many other challenges that we face as a country. Era. The world is changing. Our economy is dramatically different. Our policies and too many of our leaders, quite frankly, are outdated, especially on the left. The time has come to reinvigorate the Republican Party and turn the page and allow a new generation of leadership to lead us forward, people that understand the world as it is now and the challenges we face as a country today.
So let's start by laying out some perspective. Yes, our country faces extraordinary challenges, important challenges, as it always has. But what country in the world would you trade places with? What nation on earth would you rather be? You know, I said this last night to a group, it's easy to think that America's always had it easy, that we've never faced challenges. That's just not true. We've always faced challenges. We were founded by declaring independence from the most powerful empire in the world. It's quite a challenge. We had a civil war that divided our nation brutally, almost ended it. That was a challenge. The First World War created carnage mankind had never seen. Then, right after the First World War, a Great Depression. And then a Second World War. And then after that, a long Cold War that threatened the existence of life on this planet. We have always faced great challenges. Ours is the story of a people that have always confronted their challenges and embraced their opportunities. Now the time has come for this generation to do its part.
This election has to be about the future because America has always been about the future. A nation proud of its history, without a doubt. But we have always been a nation of people that believe that as great as our history has been, an even greater future awaits. And if there's anything that troubles me is that that sense seems to have eroded. This is still a great country. It really is. What troubles us is it can be even greater. What troubles us is that it's not fulfilling its potential, and we know that it isn't, because we feel it in our everyday lives. The key to our success as a party and as a nation lie in re-embracing these three principles. Limited government, free enterprise, and strong families with strong values. There is no other way forward. And if we are not for those things, no one will be for those things. The key to our success does not lie in becoming more like the Democrats. The nation already has a Democrat Party. We don't need two Democrat parties. The key lies in convincing our nation, and I believe we can, that the only way forward for America is to re-embrace the principles that made this the greatest nation ever, and to apply those values and those principles to the unique challenges of a rapidly changing world. But we can't do that by going back to the leaders and ideas of the past. We must change the decisions we are making by changing the people who are making them. You know, with all this fighting that's going on in Washington these days, my biggest fear is that we're losing focus on the biggest issues facing our country. And that's the growing sense by so many people across this country that we are losing control of it. That we are losing control of our nation, and more importantly, that we are losing what we've come to know as the American dream. But you cannot give up on America. You cannot give up on the American dream. We cannot allow our fears and our disappointments to lead us into silence and into inaction. Because this country that God has blessed us with, it is worth fighting for. We are on the road to decline, and what that means is if we don't change, if we don't turn the page, if we don't allow new people with new ideas to lead this country into this new era, I believe that our children, sadly, will be the first Americans in history who will inherit a life worse than their parents. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to be this way. There is another way forward for us. There is another way forward for us, but we must embrace it. And that's why I chose to run for president. Because I honestly believe that if we do what needs to be done, the greatest era in our history is right before us. time to act is now. We really can't wait any longer. We cannot wait any longer. Because if we do what needs to be done, then that American dream will not just survive. It'll reach more people and it'll change more lives than ever before. And the 21st century won't just be as good as the 20th century, it will be better. It will be a new American century. This will be the message of my campaign and the purpose of my presidency. And to succeed on this journey, I will need your prayers and your support and ultimately your vote. And so tonight I'm asking you to take that first step with me by joining us at our website, marcorubio.com.